Hello and welcome to episode 173 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
And Jeff, we have no time to waste today. Freaking zero time to waste. What a jam-packed podcast episode we have ahead of us.
Yeah.
We missed last week as far as news, and the video game industry did not...
Slow down.
Did not slow down.
It wasn't very considerate of us.
It was not very considerate. I am actually pretty offended at the video game industry, if I have to say.
How dare they?
How dare they? So, let's get into this. First off, just right away, I do have to say that we did our top 10 games of 2020 last week with Mr. William Outlaw and Mr. Jacob Hamill. A blast. 3.5 hours, but it was a freaking blast. Feel free to use the timestamps if you want to jump to our top 10, but I think the entire discussion is very, very fun. Yes. You don't have to listen to it all in one go. You can break it up. But
no, you do. Only true fans.
You legally have to do that.
Once you start, it's contract signing. You saying, I will watch the one go.
Right.
Or face legal consequences.
Yeah. And you don't want to, risk fate. We don't know what those legal consequences will be, but just don't risk it. Just watch.
Like our YouTube channel. Let's go.
Do that as well. If you like our YouTube channel, you don't necessarily have to. Yeah. Like us, friend us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeff, let's not waste any time. Let's talk about what we've been doing, what we've been playing this week, because it's quite a lot.
Indeed. Starting with the first brand new release we're talking about in 2021 in the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast, Hitman 3.
Hitman 3. It's out. And Jeff hasn't played Hitman 3.
Technically, I've not played the Hitman 3 levels. But yeah, I got it kind of late on Wednesday. For some reason, it came out on a Wednesday. Been busy the last 2 nights, recording on Saturday. And yeah. But what I have played and what I'll pretty much be talking about today is the VR mode.
Yes.
Which is new to Hitman 3, and you can do it with any of the previous Hitman levels from this trilogy.
Mm-hmm. The whole damn trilogy in VR. Yep. Very big surprise.
Yeah.
Very, very big surprise. So Jeff, you've at least played... Have you played all the way through Paris or just like some of Paris? Wasn't that Paris that you were doing?
Yeah, I did Paris. Yeah. I finished that level, or one of the ways you do it.
Nice. So that's all you've done, right?
Yeah.
VR, yeah. So what did you think?
I really liked it. More thing I was like, I think it's done really well. The biggest criticism stuff has less to do is like for our runs and looks is less to do with the game itself and like what IO could have done, and more to do with the PlayStation VR hardware.
Yeah. And
the fact that because of Sony's decision to not make the PS5 kind of technically compatible with PSVR, I have to do it on the PS4 version. Yeah.
Which is weird. Yeah, I still don't know how much of that... I don't know. I mean, from the dongle, from everything, it's obvious that the PS5 was just not made with the VR and compatibility in mind.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
But as far as the level goes, it is literally Hitman and VR. Like, as they advertised it, you literally you start the same way. The cutscenes are like in the theater mode thing, which is a 2D screen playing, kind of thing, which is fine. But once the mission starts, you are in first person with Agent 47 walking around. You can go. The level is exactly the same. Characters, dialogue, everything is exactly the same. Everything. As far as the way the level and missions lay up, exactly the same.
Yeah, and important to know, you are using the DualShock.
You are using the DualShock 4. And from what I can tell, you have to use the DualShock 4. You can't use the DualSense like you can with any other PS4 thing. Because I've been doing PS4 games, I've been using the DualSense.
Which is probably even more of a sign of the just PSVR not being very compatible.
So when I tried it and I tried to do the tutorial, it had my hand way out here, nothing I could do to move it. But once I heard the DualSense, it was doing everything it's supposed to.
Yeah, so I do want to say, I just watched Jeff do pretty much all of this. I do think it certainly does not look like a new VR game, like a game made for VR, out here, whatever. It certainly looks like an old game that now has a VR mode, which is perfectly fine. I'm saying it's really good or whatever. It's cool that you can do that, and I think it definitely looks like it works enough. But it's definitely like there's some jankiness there. I think there's some like, you know, the strangle animation is very like kind of like haphazard. It's like it doesn't look very good when you strangle people. It's just like they move around like a rag doll, or you just like shake them once and they go fall down. Like there's not like a unique animation involved with the VR.
Well, I think not saying you're wrong, but I think part of it is I keep on forgetting what exactly how to do it.
But even even when you did it, when you shook people, it didn't look like a man strangling someone. It looked like a rag doll that you were just like flapping around or something. You know,
that's one of the things they actually had to change in between the regular Hitman and Hitman VR, because you know in normal Hitman you're subduing them and you're kind of taking them slowly to the ground. This one you're still standing up and you're just like
well, yeah, I mean it's normally a canned animation. That's what makes this whole thing insanely impressive that any of this is happening, because that was a lot of work even to do what they did.
Yeah, and the strangle kind of animations or whatever are the main things, and of course, you know, moving around with the guns and kind of hitting things. A lot of the other stuff is done with button presses and stuff, using the DualShock for most of the same things, the same way you do in the normal.
But even the fact that you can aim more, you know, because normal like in normal game is just like a reticle there that you move around or whatever. But here you have to be, you know, you can like hold the gun up and shoot it like you would.
I'm terrible at aiming.
In VR, it looks rough. I mean, it looks hard. It's hard to aim in VR, and this is definitely not like the tightest thing. Basically, I'm just trying to tell anyone like buying this, I don't think this is necessarily worth buying just for VR if you have no interest in playing like normal Hitman or whatever. Like I think you need to like kind of want to play normal Hitman as well. I think this is a cool addition, but it definitely, if this was a Skyrim, like Bethesda released Skyrim VR and you can only play Skyrim in VR if you buy that or whatever. If this was just that for Hitman, I think we would be talking about this a lot differently, personally.
Yeah. I feel like I'd be talking. I will say this. I feel like I'd be talking a much more positive about it, and it's me just playing one level. And the more I think about it, the more I'm just kind of impressed with everything.
I am too. I'll be clear. I am too. Yeah.
I do think like, to me, and I feel like I'm just going to feel more strongly about this VR mode as I go, if I play more of it, you know, and jump between normal Hitman and VR Hitman. That this is really well done, and it's a shame it's just stuck to. Out of all the versions, just technically one version. I guess there's technically just the PS4 version or the PlayStation version in general.
Yeah, and the fact that it's never going to be able to move to better VR headsets. It's on the worst VR headset.
I think it's safe to assume that Sony just fronted the bill for it.
That's what I would assume. Yeah.
So yeah, top word for it is like how it felt to actually play.
Yes,
it felt good. Like obviously the kind of janky, and part of that was, I mean. Again, Darby's not wrong about the jankiness of the strangling and stuff, but part of it was definitely me forgetting exactly how to do it. So it's like, wait, do I put my hand around him then do the trigger? What? And so that was definitely part of the jankiness.
Yeah.
As far as like why things might have looked weird, I think some of the ones when you were saying like I just shook them once and they fell down. I don't think I was strangling them. I think I punched them by accident.
Nice.
And they fell.
Nice.
Which is satisfying to do. Like,
yeah. But the movement, you didn't get any of that VR. Cause even you got sick in Skyrim, right? Even you got queasy in there. I mean,
I'm curious to try just because we still have it. Skyrim VR again, just to see, because that was when I first got VR, so it was one of the first things I did. So I've grown some now. VR legs and see how I do. That's not I would not want to play Skyrim all in VR.
No.
No. I would legitimately be interested to do it if it was just like Hitman or Resident Evil 7, where you can switch back and forth at any time.
Yeah.
That I would toy around with probably.
Yeah. But Hitman, you felt like the moving, because I mean, sometimes those games that don't do the teleporting movement, to do like completely free movement, sometimes that can be disorienting. But did you feel like Hitman, like?
Yeah, I felt it was good. Like, I can see for some people, and I'm not going to say I didn't feel anything, like when you're sprinting, I feel like when you're sprinting, you're kind of moving faster than regular Hitman. I might be wrong. It might be because it's in first person in VR.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like you're just going kind of fast. And if I did that at all times, that can maybe do it for me.
Yeah, but at least Hitman itself is kind of a slow-paced game in the sense that, the stealth.
So if I'm playing it kind of more like like the normal thing, probably. I mean, I was in that level for a good bit, and I felt fine throughout the whole thing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's not one I could do. Like, I'm probably going to have multi-hour Hitman sessions playing regularly. I probably couldn't do that in VR.
Yeah.
And feel good at the end, but I can easily do a couple minutes. So that kind of goes into one thing that I don't know if necessarily a criticism of it. It's just the way it has to go with the VR. I feel like the best way to enjoy the VR stuff is when you're kind of familiar, right? Familiar with the map, at least somewhat so.
Yeah.
I feel like just partly because of the potential sickness, if it's like a map you're not familiar with, or the first time you're playing the map in general, the fact that you can get, because you don't have a mini map or anything, and all that kind of stuff, you got to do the pause menu.
Right.
You could kind of maybe feel it more if you going around aimlessly.
Yeah, I think there's really no good answer to that for them because you don't want a mini map in your vision in VR. No. That would just be bad.
Honestly, the stuff they have in, like, there are pop-up things. Yeah. I think they did a good job of deciding, okay, what's important to have here and what's not. Just the simple stuff like when you're going for like your item reel, you're just pressing it like a normal Hitman. With the grab and all that kind of stuff.
I didn't even think about what that looked like in your vision.
That was fine. And just some things like important conversation happening. Press this to, follow this storyline. That popped up for a second. You have the when you're doing a story thing, you have the little green icon that shows you where to go to continue that storyline, which is fine. I'm glad that's there at least, so it at least gives me a general idea where to go.
Right.
But potentially be a bummer is on some of the stuff they can show you where the target is a little easier and making sure it's them. That could be a little harder if you're not familiar, like knowing this is the target.
Yeah.
Or without the game like saying this is blah 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 blah, and this is why you're killing them.
Yeah, I agree. I could see that being in maybe some of the, especially some of the probably harder later levels. If VR was the first time you're going through it, it might be a little.
And I'm excited to play more because I'm probably do that a little later. Watching Kyle Bosman play Hitman 3, and he's doing the Dubai level. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. It's almost like an amazing, like just a beautiful level in general, but just being there in VR.
Those environments are like, and the fact that I think it looked pretty good or whatever, but you were in like Hitman 1 or whatever. Even Hitman 2 looks a lot better in the like that race car level or whatever in Miami that me and Jenny did. Like some of those environments or whatever, it's like, this is really pretty. Hitman's one of those games, I think when you get like really close up to models, it looks a little more rough, but when you're just like seeing a scenery, definitely. This looks good.
Yeah, that's kind of like, okay, this is gonna work out great. Like when I was walking up to the building in the Paris level, because Paris is a lot more simple. It's just kind of building with some following stuff. But just seeing the fountain and just looking up at the building, it's like, oh yeah, this is gonna
be sweet.
Some of the later levels, is gonna be great. And something like when I first started it, and something I mentioned right away, it's like, okay, we're about to go in this building where a bunch of people are gonna show up. Let's see how that looks. You go in there, it looks like the exact same models that are in there.
Yeah, it was fully
obviously a little fuzzier and everything. And I did not notice any frame rate issues, which obviously you cannot have in VR.
No, you can't. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I was really when you think about the fact that this is a really old game that was not made with VR at all in mind, very impressive. Very, very impressive. And just such a big surprise. Yeah. Still, I have to reiterate again. So
and I like the way I did it because I admittedly played the Paris level while I was waiting for stuff to download before that. So that's part of the reason I did the stuff I did. It's like, okay, I'm familiar with this. I just kind of go through this level just to see how the stuff works in VR kind of thing. And especially since I did the model thing. Or I disguised myself the model so I was able to do the run rate. It's like, okay, I want to see how this looks in it. And like exactly how they do this, because it's like a third person, you walking around thing.
Walking down the
a different camera point of view and all that. And me disguising myself as him and talking to my target and seeing how all that kind of stuff and me poisoning him. I feel like that was that kind of way to do the mission was a good way to do this stuff. And again, worked great. Got into a little firefight, as you saw, Darby.
Yeah.
Messed up. I was like, oh no.
I can see that being the harder part in VR. Being that's when the clunkiness of like, I'm trying to shoot the damn thing. Yeah.
So I'll see how I feel in the future. I got a feeling what I'm going to do, because there are 3 different difficulties level. When I'm playing regularly, I'm going to play the medium thing, at least for now. Like once I play a lot of it and get used to levels and all that stuff, I'll probably bump it up some. But probably for the most part in VR, at least for a good while, I'm probably going to have the lowest difficulty, casual.
Is that just for like incoming damage? Like it doesn't make like the puzzles easier or anything like that, right? It's just like, is it just the combat?
I think, I didn't read the notes, but I think from watching other people play and some people talking about it, I think it makes the AI dumber as well. Like they'll notice less things. They'll leave you alone after a little. Like if you get discovered and you kind of run away, it'll be quicker for them to be like, oh darn, he got away, or oh, there's nothing here. You deserve a medal though. You did great.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And just because I feel like being in VR automatically makes it more difficult because you don't have that third person point of view. Because you can shift the camera and look over things without, being out in the open.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're watching me play that Hitman 2 level, and I was just kind of crouched and was able to look.
I did that all the time when I played it too. Yeah,
like you can't do that. You can't look at them. You got to look over.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I feel like casual's the way I'm going to do the VR levels.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And it's more for the experience than anything.
So,
well, sweet. I can't wait to hear more as you get more into like maybe the Hitman 3 content as well.
Oh yeah. Hitman's something I'll probably be talking about and probably I gotta imagine at some point here just me talking about it is me just going to be talking about goofy kills I did.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Because I don't know if it's a new thing. I have noticed there are bananas in the
and I did see you not in VR, but I did see you kill someone with an expired can of spaghetti sauce. So this game leans into it.
I think the second level of 1 is Italy, and I already know you can go to the kitchen. I am grabbing that can, and I'm definitely doing a can run where I'm just doing everything with the can.
What a glorious game. Video games, man. Video games are a treasure.
Well, Darby, I'm not done for the moment.
Oh, no. I ain't stopping you, Jeff. No.
Time to talk about Persona 5 Strikers, baby.
Jeff's Muso train keeps on going. Just a nice helping of Muso soup.
So if you're confused about why I'm bringing this game to the table, a game that's not out yet, is the demo. The Japanese demo.
Jeff actually lives in Japan.
Yes.
He commutes here for the podcast every week.
Very expensive. Give us money. But yeah. It's been out for a while, at least the summer. At the earliest. The Japanese demo. So I could have done it at any time. But obviously I did because I had to play Persona 5 and that was the main reason. And we didn't know when we were getting the game. So even after I finished, like, I don't want to play this and have to wait.
Right.
So, but I was like, okay, it's coming out next month. I'm obviously done Persona 5. Let's give this a shot and see what the gameplay is all about. Because in Japanese, so I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I have no idea what these people
all in Japanese. He saw a bunch of people talking, had no clue what the fuck was going on. Some
this
anime
bullshit.
New,
but he has a portrait, so I assume he's important. But I got to see the new like intro thing or whatever. Which was nice. It's looking like there might be like a RV thing going on. Maybe they like traveling the country or something.
Wait, okay. So they like in the that's cool.
Yeah,
the whole squad on a road trip. So wait, so it's not in Shibuya and Tokyo and stuff.
It started there, but just what the intro is going off in like a screenshot or so I've seen.
That could be.
Might be going on a road trip around Japan. I don't know.
That could be very interesting.
Yeah. So immediately starts off. It's like, yes, this is Persona 5. Like
you got that style.
It got the style.
Music.
They're definitely. I guess also throw this out there before I say this. I played it on the Switch. So
can you play it somewhere else? I thought it was
PS4.
Is it going to everything? Okay. For some reason I thought it was
I'm planning on getting on the PS4 version if I play on my PS5. That is my plan.
Yeah.
But I played on the Switch because that's the easiest way for me to download that demo.
Japanese
because everything was already set up.
Cool.
So as far as what I'm about to say, the Switch could be the reason for it. Immediately I was able to like get the feeling maybe a little more low budget than Persona 5, just in the way the models were a little fuzzier and everything, and just the menus and stuff, very stylish and a cut above all other ones, but not to the level, at least when I've seen at Persona 5. But what I do like about the menus, once I finally got into them, when you click like the Persona and stuff, instead of, Joker just going to different poses, it is Joker moving around, I guess, like a palace area and just chilling with one of the other Phantom Thieves.
Just showing something.
Like he just jumps on top of the wall or whatever and is just chilling with Panther.
That's cool. That's cool.
So that stuff is awesome, but story presentation, the amount of dialogue and everything, and Friday Tell's going, the scene's more like
makes it feel like
an actual sequel to Persona. Like,
yeah.
As far as the mix of actual dialogue and it's just all that kind of outside palace stuff and the palace stuff. Again, this is early on. Like, I don't know how long this demo took me, and I was skipping dialogue, but I want to say if like I was just reading and playing this straight through, like actually be able to read it and do it like I did normally in Persona 5, it's probably been like an hour and a half demo. I might be wrong on that estimate, but that's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah.
That's good. So meaty chunk again. Felt a lot like Persona 5, other than combat stuff, which is different.
But yeah, we definitely let's get into that in a second. Did you have were you walking around and do you think that you're walking around trying to figure out how you're going to spend your time like you do in Persona, or is it all just
I haven't gotten to the part where you're doing time. It's just I honestly didn't do too much walking around. It was just walking to LeBlanc's, like coming back to the neighborhood and doing that, and then getting, I think, to the middle strip and meeting up with Ryuji. It was a lot of dialogue stuff, but just the amount of it and just kind of.
But there is going to be hub worlds that you're walking around and not just dialogue, battle, battle.
Yeah, there's going to be that based on what I've seen, and that's what it looks like. It looks like Persona is literally then just taking the stuff from the map and stuff from Persona 5.
Is Koei Tecmo writing this?
They probably are somewhat. I know I said. I just want to preface this by I kind of said this for Zelda, but as more things came out, it kind of changed.
Yeah, you did say this for Zelda.
Yeah. But even that was based off what they said, and then it kind of came out kind of differently that it was more of a Koei thing than originally, explained. This game's been out for a year in Japan, so we have a little more details. It seems like Atlas had little more control over what we were saying, or more in hand with the writing or whatever. Not saying Koei's writing wasn't involved whatsoever, but Atlas seemed more involved.
I'm just it scares me how similar the situation around this and Hyrule Warriors is. It's hilariously similar, where it's a sequel to a game we didn't really expect to get the sequel or whatever, but it's made by Koei Tecmo, but it's gonna be story, but is it? But it's Muso, but is it? It's so similar that it scares me.
But I think the biggest difference is, and why I can say things more confidently, is the fact that this is been out for a year in Japan.
But let's get into that combat.
They throw you in there and all that kind of stuff. This feels I know I've been saying this to you just based on what other people say, but actually playing it, this does feel more like an action RPG than a Muso in a good many ways. I mean, the reasons why it probably it may feel as much as a Muso right now as it does, because it's early on in all these games. In a demo, these enemies are damage sponges anyway.
Yeah. And it's Koei Tecmo. Do they make anything other than Musos?
I mean, Neo.
I forgot I mean, no, but
gotcha.
But there's that. I mean, this is a Muso. It might be Muso light, but it is a Muso. I mean, there are we've seen all the images of swirling people in the air, knocking up crowds of people. It's I agree with you. I think it's going to be more different. But to say this is not a Muso, I think is going to be very inaccurate to say. But I think it could be a Muso that people enjoy. Yeah.
Again, it's hard for me to say it's exactly like a Muso, just because the Muso carries a lot of things that scare people off, and I feel like some of the stuff that scares people off is not really in this game.
Yes, I think that's true. I think it's still a Muso. I mean, I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's Muso. So anyone like me is gonna hate it or whatever.
No. What I'm saying is for other reason. I mean, I just want to.
Yeah, because this is semantic argument. It doesn't matter.
But you're going around a dungeon, at least what I play in the demo, and you start battles like you kind of do Persona, and then a swarm of enemies do, instead of like a Muso game where this is a giant map where enemies are there all time.
Correct.
I think that's a big difference.
Yeah. So it is like structured battles where you're walking around an area and then you like attack someone.
It is literally a structured map. Well, at least the thing I played, like Persona 5.
Nice.
And I didn't do too much of it because they introduced the mechanic kind of late, but there is ways to like sneak up on them and do a lot of kind of stuff. It looks like.
Yeah.
And you can jump around, like you battle in the middle of Shibuya, and you're able to jump on headlights and like attack people from above, and you can do some kind of like acrobatic type things where you're able to spin around the headlight and like swing a bunch of enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like this environmental stuff I'm curious to see what all they do with.
Interesting.
I think I was able to jump on like an overhanging thing and then like did like the action button and it just dropped on the enemies.
Oh, nice.
And it started the battle. I think they were reduced damage.
That's cool.
Part of normal battle stuff, like, you know, Musos or action RPGs and stuff, the main thing is there's a heavy attack button and a light attack button, and you do it to the combos. That's the kind of Muso-ish kind of thing. Like, I guess I compare it to Hyrule Warriors. Again, it's hard to know exactly what all's going on because I could not read what was going on or what they were telling me. But it looks like you do, like with Hyrule Warriors, you kind of do the combo string with the light attacks, and then where you hit the heavy button in it is what your combo finisher is. And something that is different from Hyrule Warriors is you can press, I think it was the right trigger, and the game stops. Time is stopped. It's kind of like Final Fantasy VII when you're selecting a move, exactly like that, where you're picking a skill from the list, and that's when you can also switch personas for Joker.
There you go. So like you do that, and he just does the skill from wherever he's standing or whatever.
Yeah, he does the scan. You have like this big. You have like it shows you an area effect for every skill. Okay. So you can scroll through it, see what it does. It tells you who's weak to the skill within the area.
Nice.
And you can do that. And if you hit the weakness, obviously they'll be downed. And I don't know what all qualifies for this to be activated. Because again, I can't read shit. But I don't know if you need like multiple enemies together or just one or what. But you can do like a mini all-out attack on them, where you just press the button and suddenly everyone swarms them real quick. And it goes out. There's also like a bigger one, which is cool, and each character is like a big finisher.
Well, yeah, in the cool ways, like, you know, I don't like, I wouldn't like Hyrule Warriors, but I appreciate all the like ways that they incorporated like Breath of the Wild type mechanics and stuff. Like that sounds cool to incorporate the Persona weaknesses and you know, knocking them down like that and choosing that or whatever. I think that's probably a good segue to how do Personas work in this game. Okay,
so I was only able to play as Joker. You're going to be able to play as all the other Phantom Thieves and I think a couple new characters. Again, the main way it works is, like I said, you press the ZR and that's how you're able to use the skill for the personas.
Yep.
And throughout the moveset, at least with Joker, it seems to be primarily heavy attacks. Whatever the persona he has will come out and do like their elemental attack.
Oh, yeah.
At least for what I've seen.
They just do it like in addition to what you're doing, or does your move like become part of their thing? Or
well, like they flow into each other, kind of thing, like for a combo.
Okay.
The only personas I was able to get, like the only ones that didn't allow me to get, Arsene, obviously the one you start out with. I was able to get Pixie.
Yeah.
Pixie having electric attacks. I do not. I got Pixie towards the end of it. So I was not able to tell like what the difference between the combo stuff between Arsene or her stuff is, if there any difference besides like a visual thing. I'm honestly not sure.
There you go. So like when you do that skill thing, did you have like both of theirs that you could use anytime, or do you have to have one of them equipped and that's what you can do with them?
So it's kind of when you click when when you go to the pause menu and you go to the Persona menu, like in Persona 5, and you click on Joker, you literally have the 8, 6, whatever slots you have like Joker. Like, these are the amount of personas you can equip. Because from stuff they really showed and trailers and stuff, we know the Persona Fusion and all that kind of stuff in this game. So it obviously looks different, but it's like when you pick a skill in Persona 5 where the menu just comes up and you're able to scroll through them and select which persona skill you want to use. Yeah. And then that's your main persona after you do it. Okay. Cool. I don't know if there's like... I don't know. I imagine not. I'm curious to see if it is... If you like do a skill to switch to someone and then you can immediately do a skill to switch back. Nah. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just time around this. Yeah. I'm not sure. All that stuff. I got Pixie, like I said, I got Pixie late, so there's only so much I could do as far as switching between them. Yeah, yeah, I was able to see it super well. That'll be very interesting. I mean, it sounds like they're incorporating those things in like interesting ways within the action move set. I'm very, very interested to see how this game's received. Yeah, and it's sounding like, from what I saw from preview stuff, every one of the Phantom Thieves has like a unique mechanic thing to them, kind of like maybe with Hyrule Warriors. I don't know like how different it is, or if there's like a certain there's like in Hyrule Warriors a special button thing that works with the I mean, mechanics. Seeing that they'll probably all obviously only have one persona, I'm hoping that they all have like pretty different move sets to make up for the lack of changing. Yeah, it sounds like Ryuji, for instance. I saw him like he was charging up a bat. As far as I could tell, I cannot really charge up like that, so he just might be a bruiser. I imagine Makoto's going to ride the bike some. Yeah, I mean, just definitely run over people. You could do some cool stuff of like character switching, like switching to your tankier one to do this, and then switching to someone else to follow up. You could also, she's in trailer, so I have no problem saying this. I forgot her name. You get one of the new characters in there already, and she kind of fights alongside you. She uses these yo-yo looking things. Nice. And has... Her persona is pretty basic. It just looks like a bunch of cubes. Just a bunch of cubes? Yep. Just a bunch of cubes? She is very anime. Her pigtails are literally disconnected hearts. It's like a freaking Danganronpa character. Yeah. Oh, cool. I think this game is going to live and die off of if that story feels like a worthy continuation of Persona 5, or if it feels like fan fiction, fan service, cheap thing or whatever. I really could see it going either way. It's like with these spin-off things, a lot of times it's like, okay, you really couldn't go that far with the story because it's not a main thing, and it was just okay, and it keeps going for this. It's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, we were talking to Jacob some. He was worried about the story based on other spin-offs. Yeah, I am too. It's kind of hard to go off with some of them in a way because they're dancing and the Persona Q stuff. The closest thing we can go to is the fighting game. But even that's got to have dumb things. It's like, why are the heroes fighting each other? It's not just Persona. There's just a lot of times when you have the spin-off game in a Muso or any of these other ones or whatever. A lot of times you don't really come away from that being like, wow, that was really like, that's essential to the story. It's like, I feel like very rarely is that the case. Usually at best, it's like, it's fun. It's fun. It's like I need more than it's fun for a follow up to like one of the best stories of all time. For me, I need a little more than that. I'm not really interested in a lackluster fan fiction-y version of Persona 5 personally. But I'm already still currently in the probably watching this on YouTube phase anyway. But it'll be very interested to see what people. It's think. A lot of YouTube watching. I know more than you're used to. Aware. I'm aware. Yeah, but be interesting. Well, Jeff. Well, brother, you don't have to pay for it. It's not to pay for it. Yeah, I'll definitely mooch off of my good friend Jeffrey Mayonnaise. He's got it pre-ordered. Well, I think I have. I don't know, Jeff. What was the bigger surprise for this podcast? Me getting into League of Legends or this next game that I'm about to say? I'm going to say this next game because I think your words were pretty much, I'm never going to play this. With League, I don't think you ever said anything like that. Yeah, I just didn't know about the game. Didn't know like anything about the game.
Well, yes, I have gone back on my words on this next game because I've actually put in quite a few hours this week. I made an impulse buy, and that impulse buy was Animal Crossing New Horizons. What a freaking twist.
What a twist.
What a twist. Yeah, it was just like last weekend or whenever it was. I was just like, I was off all day and had nothing to do. And I was like, it was cold outside. And I'm like, I want warm, jolly vibes. I've been thinking about like, I kind of want a game that I can just like low pressure, I can just kind of exist in and just kind of like build something out or whatever. It's like, should I get into an MMO? It's like, I don't want to pay a subscription service. And MMOs are like too grindy. It's like, I don't want to deal with all of that. It's like, should I play the freaking Sims? It's like, I don't want to play the Sims. It's like, I don't know. What am I looking for? Like, what am I, it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. And I really, even as I was buying it, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm like, I'm gonna play this a little bit and be very bored and bounce off of it or whatever. I was like, fine, fucking, I'll do it. I'll do it. Like, I have some more disposable income in my new job. It's like, I'll do it. And yeah, a full week later, I have pretty much played this game every night and every morning. I like waking up with my morning cup of coffee and checking in on Animal Crossing is like so nice. It's like really, really nice. I've just really gotten into the whole like cycle of it and just the way that I love that it matches up with the time you are like in the real world, because it's just really cool going in there and they're like, oh hey, you're up early this morning, or they're like, hey, we're building, you know, or like tomorrow Blathers is going to come in. It's just exciting to me. Like, I haven't really felt the urge to time travel or anything. I'm just like, no, I kind of want to, I like that slowly my island went from everyone in tents to now I have a nice house with like flowers next to it and all this other stuff. It's like, I'm loving that like slow progression so far. Like, I'm really, really digging that. And I am really digging the customization and like building my house. I'm already like having ideas. I'm already like laying out everything, and like, I don't know. I just really didn't expect to like get into that.
When we were talking about potentially like a year ago about this game, I was wondering like, part of me thought you might like this game. I don't know.
I've always been on the fence. I was like, I don't know, you know.
Because you're always the guy who goes into the like the slow burn stuff. It's like, I just didn't know how you felt about the daily life, whatever, farming sim shit.
Right. And I've tried kind of stuff like this. I guess really just Stardew Valley is like, and it really didn't stick. I mean, it's a very similar type of game, but it didn't.
Maybe too complicated.
I mean, it is a lot more complicated. I mean, it is a lot more complicated. Maybe that is part of it, but also, I mean, I think the 3D thing, I think I do gravitate to more. And it's like, yeah, Animal Crossing is like very low key and easy to get into, but at the same time, I feel like there are a lot of like weird mechanics under the surface that like I had no clue about. Like even the money tree.
Yep.
It was like, I was just digging up there, like, ooh, money, cool. Paved it up, walked on my way, and then Jacob was like, hey, you need to be putting money back in there, and you'll grow a money tree. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. And like, yeah, I'll just be like wandering through the woods, and suddenly there's a ghost there, and I'm like, oh, let's go talk to this ghost. And it's like a ghost that's afraid of ghosts. And it's like fucking adorable. It's like the whole game's so adorable. But at least so far, I'm sure it'll slow down at some point. But right now, I feel like every single time I log in, there's something new, completely unexpected. That I'm like, oh, I got this like brand new thing for my house, or I ran into this brand new character. Like I ran into Gulliver the other day. It was great. So it's like, I feel like there's a lot in here. And every time I've caught fish, and it's like, hey, this fish is only available in December and January. And there's something so cool about that to me. That like for the whole year, you won't be able to catch these things. Like there's, I don't know. It's like little
makes
things
you
like
keep
that.
on coming back. Like, I need to get Blathers these fish.
I gotta get them the fish. And that kind of stuff, like that's usually not the type of thing that drives me in the game, is to go like get all the things or like fill up all the things or whatever. But like I've really loved being like, oh, what's the miles thing? It's like, oh sure, I'll do that. You know, it's like, I don't know. I've just really been digging it in a way that I didn't think that progression loop would like really click with me very well. And I suppose we'll see how it goes. But I mean, like so far, it's just been like so nice to listen to a podcast or something, or watch League, watch football while doing this, and it's just like very low stress.
Yeah, at least for the next little bit, especially without doing the time traveling stuff, the games will naturally give you new stuff to do for a little bit, whether just adding stuff to the island or getting new villagers and all that.
Right.
Because
I hadn't done that much, yeah.
Yeah.
At
some point, they're pretty much like, yo, Tom Nook's like, yo, can you get this material? Because we're having like 3 new people move in.
I just got that.
Okay,
got that, yeah.
They'll slowly build up. And then I think like right after that, you'll be able to try to find new villagers and put them in the house. Something, I guess, feel free to look it up and see. I think you can kind of influence who those 3 villagers are going to be. Like if you I told you about the Nook tickets and you go into those islands, you meet villagers. Mm-hmm. If you talk to them and get them to agree, they'll be one of the villagers that move in. Yeah. Otherwise, they're going to be random.
Okay, because I did go to one of them and I told one lady to come to my island. She said, "Oh, I actually talked to Tom Nook earlier about coming in," so I assumed that was the case. I was like, okay, well, she's going to be one of the 3.
So if you wanted to try to do that to maybe kind of more of hand picking, like who's going to be in there, And because at some point, you can be dicks to these and kind of try.
I feel like I would have a very hard time doing that. Yeah. Even if I don't like a villager, I'd be like, well, you're in there. Because I've gone to 2 of the Nook Island things. And the first one I went to was like this pop star hippo lady. And she was like kind of obnoxious. She like spoke in like hip young lingo. And I'm like, all right, you have fun on this island. I'm going to go.
I can't wait till the heartbreaking moment when someone asks you if they can leave.
Oh no, that'd be terrible.
Because you get the final say if these people leave or not. You control their lives.
Yeah. So is that the only way they leave is if you like make their life so miserable that they want to leave? Basically.
I think they're just the game's mechanics. Like even if they're happy, maybe they'll just kind of ask you. Maybe periodically, one of them might randomly ask you if they, if it's okay if they bounce.
Yeah. Yeah, they might do that just so you can filter other people in. I could see that. Yeah. We'll see. That's a whole thing I haven't even gotten to because I would still only have my first 2 villagers. But
and then once you fill up people, you can get into when you get into mainly designing. It's like, okay, figuring this out because that'll take a lot of money and time, that kind of stuff. Yeah, because they take a long time to. I think it takes time to like if you want to move a house, that transition.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw Holden's Island. It's bonkers, like all the crazy stuff in there. And I did the dream sequence thing where you just go to a random person's island. I did that, and I went to someone's island. Their island was also insanity. So I'm like, at some point, I know you can get like terraforming and stuff. Yeah. Do you get to a point where you can just move houses free? Like, it's not like you're not set in stone where you put them.
Yeah,
right?
you can
like,
move stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of time and money, but yeah.
No,
you can't do that.
I built the bridge, so like there's still one part of the island that there's no bridge to. So I put all 3 of the houses on the new part of the island where I did the bridge because I looked online. They said the villagers can technically cross the river, but they'll never do it. Like you'll never see them crossing it. They could show up in a new spot when you load in again somewhere else. But so I was like, I'll just put where they had the bridge right now,
and that way you can go visit them.
Yes,
easy,
yeah, without pole vaulting all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. I was just really digging it. And also the writing in this game is like, I was telling Jeff, like, I really wouldn't be surprised if some of the people on the writing staff for Animal Crossing are actual, like, therapists or people like that. People who are, like, involved in, like, mental health things. Because it's, like, it's just written in such a way that it's like, hey, you had a rough day, come in Animal Crossing. It's such a soothing writing style where everything is just, like, warm and cute and like makes you feel good, but like, it's not, but it's also like you're working for something, it feels good because it's warm and fuzzy, but it's also like you feel like you're accomplishing something. You have a house and a successful life, even though it's very easy to do so. It's cool. Here I am, Animal Crossing. Who would have freaking thought?
Just in time for Tom Nook to get in Smash.
Just in time. So I'm excited. I will definitely do a Nerds at Large video showing off my island probably a long time from now when it looks good. But, so look forward to that. But also, very quickly, I want to talk about the end of 13 Sentinels. Well, I'm not going to spoil the end of 13 Sentinels, but I did beat 13 Sentinels. Took me like almost 40 hours. It's a little too long. I will definitely say it's a little too long. But this game is special. This game is very, very special. I think everything I said before is true, but they stuck the landing, I think.
Nice.
It's overall, it's an average strategy game that sticks around too long in the strategy part, but the narrative is like top notch, very unique, something that I've never really seen in a video game before. Just the way that like that narrative, like how complex it is and how it just never stops adding complexity. Like every time you think that you've seen the next dimension, it's like, nope. Here we go again. Nope. Here we go again. The goalpost keeps moving more and more and more. And it's really like it's like a Herculean feat that it didn't get lost in its own bullshit. It's like, it's crazy that I really do think that with every one of those twists, there was never really one that I was like, all right, y'all have gone too far. I bought into all of it, and I think just the way it was told in this out of order way is just like so interesting. It's fascinating. It really, really is. And I think a lot of people should try it out. I think there are things about it that are gonna like, some people won't like. I think sometimes it leans into like its anime tropes too much. I think there's some times where it's like, okay, we've kind of done the same gag a bunch of times.
Unfortunately, I'm at the point in my life where that stuff doesn't bother me because I'm just so used to it. It should be something that bothers me more, but it's too.
It was
too much. Seen too much of that stuff in my life. Like it's just something I accept.
Yeah, I don't.
to a point, there is definitely a threshold where it gets like, this is too much.
It was never that like the anime tropes were like so cringy and bad on their own. It's just that like it kind of got where it's like, this character, there's this trope, and we're going to reuse this joke or reuse this like plot thing every chapter, and like it's never gonna really evolve. Like the story will evolve, but it's like, oh, we went a few minutes without referencing that this guy's obsessed with this kind of food, so we better reference that again. Or it's like, this guy, he's had too many plot moments without like being obsessed with a girl. We better like have him drool over a girl again. And like there are way like, don't get me wrong, I think there are some really good romances in this game. I think like some of it works really well, but there's too many of them. There are way too many love triangles and way too many like couple things where like the sheer amount of time someone confesses their love for someone else, at some point it just gets to be like, sure, of course you're also in love with this other person. It's like, she's in love with her, but she's in love with this other guy, and he's in love with this other guy. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, it's a soap opera, which is great in some ways. I mean, it's like a crazy batshit anime soap opera, but I think the biggest thing is the length. It was just for 40 hours. That was a bit, they tried to break the tension too much in the same way for 40 hours is basically the biggest problem. But that aside, I think the actual meat and potatoes story is something that I think a lot of people will dig, and I think you're really gonna like this. I really want to talk to you about this game. I hope I haven't hyped it up too much. It's hard not to, because I was just pretty immediately interested.
You can never hype up anime bullshit too much to me. You should know this.
I know. You're right. I shouldn't have no fear.
Remember Kingdom Hearts and Danganronpa?
Yeah. So I imagine you are excited to play this game.
Yeah. Need to figure out time to do it.
Yes. Cool. One of the coolest stories I've played in the game in a long time.
Well, sorry, we should have some stories to tell about our time into this next game, Sea of Thieves. Woo! We have done it. We are now pirates.
We are now pirates.
I'm wearing my Elstorm shirt.
Hey.
Coincidence. Wait, so funny thing. I wore this shirt without thinking about knowing we were going to play today. And then when we played last time, when I was riding the car right before that, without even thinking about we were playing, I was listening to Ailstorm.
You just knew? You just knew.
If I just happened to put on anything else related, it's like, oh, this is Sea of Thieves Day.
He just knew. We played for like 5.5 hours today.
We did, and we played a couple hours the other day. So we probably have about 7-8 hours in this game already.
Yeah.
I think it's the same.
That's
Roughly.
a fun-ass game.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun with a group of people. I could definitely see you kind of getting to the point where you're doing the same thing over and over again. I don't think it's a game that is just like a completely like endless like new thing every time experience. At least with the mission structure, I think like the missions you're doing are not super interesting. I think it's the stories that happen from random things in the environment that make it. And from other people. It's like basically the story, the missions are just an excuse to make all these real people, teams of people, cross paths. And for you to cross paths with like AI monsters and stuff. Yeah, so we should definitely get into some of our...
Yeah, I don't think anyone who... based on what I've heard, I don't think anyone who's played a lot of Sea of Thieves would disagree with that. That's why they enjoy the game.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a couple fun stories. We find this special secret treasure that's called a Reaper's Chest that it's always visible on the map. And like if someone has it in its movie it's like, oh, someone has it. We can go attack them because they probably have a good bit of other treasure because there's a lot of stuff with the one we found.
Loaded the hell up.
Very nice ship. But right after we did it, Darn, I didn't realize that the guy, Alex, who we were playing with, Mike got unplugged at some point. So he cannot talk to us, or Mike got unplugged. So he, we were getting things situated, all calm. And like, yeah, we're out to go, man. We got a lot of treasure. Let's go. And he's apparently yelling at us because a volcano is erupting or starting to erupt. So Darn and I look, it's like, oh, fuck, volcano. He's like, Alex, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you put it back in. I've been yelling for minutes.
I'm like, why are they so calm?
It was so funny. I'm like, oh wow, we got a lot of stuff. It's like, okay, so where should we go? Anyway, I just look up. I was like, oh, it's raining fire from the sky. Shit.
Yeah, and then we get a safe distance, and it's like, okay, we're fine now. And I was like, oh shit, there's a shark behind us. And Darby and I'm like, so we're in a boat. We're fine.
We're good.
Then we look back. Oh fuck! That's a big shark.
It's a freaking megalodon that was like literally the size of our ship, and it just like went right beside us. We're, oh fuck! Shit!
Just followed us for a while.
Oh, I mean, that's the type of magic in this game. It's like, and like that can happen, and also like, oh shit, there's a ship in the distance. Oh shit, it's getting closer. It's like real people, like could come after you at any moment like that. It's just a game that feels like anything could happen at any moment.
And when Alex, brought in that barrel of explosives onto her thing, and then suddenly it started storming, like, oh, it's thunderstorms in here. Cool. And I can't remember which one of you said at first, like, oh shit, lightning struck right next to us. Yep. Like, oh man, that's not good. Ship strikes down in the bottom of the thing, hits the barrel, and it all explodes. I was right next to it. I was dead instantly. Everything's on fire.
You and Alex were both dead. I got launched a mile away from the ship.
Everything's on fire. We had treasure on the boat.
It was like we were like the world's like worst pirates, and every single time we got treasure, some calamity would happen and the ship would blow up. But we got the big haul
in the end.
We did. We finally redeemed ourselves. Yep. But it seemed like every single time we got something, it was like either the weather destroyed us or some other people. We got caught up on the dock, and these other people did a drive.
I forgot the guy's name, but when we went to do that big fire tornado thing, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Shit, this boss ass character, and then it's like, okay, we're going back to the boat. Oh shit, he's shooting fireballs at us.
We had this like fire god attacking us from the beach, and then these real people, other players, bombing our boat from the other side, and it's like, well, shit.
The guy in the boat's the guys in the boat going like, okay, we're fine. I go under, there's a barrel, so I was like, oh, where'd that come?
Yeah, they kind of like literally jumped onto our boat playing the explosives, and he's like, peace.
Without us noticing.
Yeah.
I got down there and noticed the thing, like, oh, when that kind of noticed it was, the fuse was going like, wait, what?
It's beautiful. I mean, it's just like the amount of like, it's a great sandbox that like none of this is scripted. All of this, like the stories you have are like organic stories that happen from you just interacting with the world, which is kind of the best thing.
Yeah.
That's the,
And we're kind of noticing some interesting looking islands that we're kind of passing by where we were going to the Reaper. Like, and when I was the one mainly looking at the map, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of this map we've gotten nowhere close to. Yeah. Like legitimately, Darby, from the when we were mainly playing until like the end where we were going after the Reaper's chest, we were probably going around nowhere like 20% of the map, if that.
I mean, think about how long it took us to just go straight line from like one side of the map all the way across. It took us a very long time, and that was in a straight line, like not looking at anything else or whatever. So yeah, I think that even though the mission structure, like they're not the most interesting things, I think a lot of things will happen. The fact that we've already seen the volcanoes and Megalodon, there's probably Krakens, there's probably a bunch of other things like that.
Well, we saw that ghost. I mean, keep on seeing that ghost, and this guy's like, oh, what's that? It's some weird cloud thing. We ended up getting close to it. There's a bunch of ghost ships, and it's like, why don't you come over here? And it was like, oh, you're leaving, eh? It's like, you're damn straight.
Yep.
Damn right.
So I think, especially since you're not going to play this game unless you have like 3 people, for us to just play this every now and then, I think it's going to be more than enough.
Yeah, and what's nice now is, and we've already got to, like I said, probably about 8 hours out of it, and we already saw stuff like the tornado and that ghost has like that's already stuff to kind of go towards. Like, we want to do that stuff at some point, and that's just stuff that we've noticed.
I'm so happy that we have a game we can all play like this. So we've been kind of like, we tried Destiny for a while. We've been wanting something like this, and I think this is a very good answer. And just like, I love piloting the ship. It's like just hard enough. And it like mandates teamwork. Yeah, it's not one of those things that one person can just like, no, take over, I'll do everything. It's like, exactly.
No. It's one of those things you look at, it's like, yeah, this is well designed. And especially, when you go into it, you got to pick the ship size that's like, this is for 2 people. This is for 3 people. This is for 4 people. It's like, okay, we've only really messed with the 3-person ship. But it's like, okay, yeah, these are probably also designed to like, okay, all 4 people need to probably be doing something for the sailing to go smoothly.
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't feel like any of our 3 jobs are like any lesser than the other. Like I'm the one driving. Alex has been like up in the lookout, like looking out for other ships and like obstacles and stuff. And Jeff's navigating like with the map and everything, and doing the like anchor and things like that. And it really takes all of us, because like Jeff has to tell me which way to go, and Alex because like you seeing other ships, it really does feel like you're in a like. It's like the best naval combat I've ever had, where it's like, it matters when you see a ship. It's like, okay, everybody stop being silly. We gotta pay attention. It's cool.
What probably I didn't have to think about more, like when we have to, it's like, because we usually go straight to the outpost, like, we probably need to do a better job, or probably we'll probably need to look out a little better. Yeah. Because I mentioned when we had the Reaper chest, since on the, like, on any other players' maps, they can see where we are. And if they're experienced, they know where we're going.
Yeah, we got lucky for sure.
Yeah, I was worried like they could just be camping out there. Like someone who's experienced, they could know the best place to put their ship.
But I love it. It's a game that you really like. It has that risk reward that I think is great when you have like really expensive loot. You're like, oh god, we gotta get out of here. But like, it's also a game I think it's so fun to just be like, should we do this?
Yeah,
let's do this. Let's just go, boy. Let's go.
Yeah, I think this is definitely, after, playing the time we had, deserves the kind of... Started out rough like a lot of these games, but Sea of Thieves definitely one. Yeah. You heard, just had a good post-game or post-launch support.
Yeah, especially if this is just like the beginning, if there's a good many other things to go. Like, I mean, I think we could easily easily have like multiple more sessions where we still feel very fulfilled with everything that's happening. And just because of the organic nature of it, it's probably a game you could play for years and years and years and still have brand new experiences. Like, I've seen clips of like someone like ramped a boat over someone else's boat. So they look up, oh shit. Like, yeah, crazy things could happen.
Or as you completely...
I beached our ship.
Like, I get it. Like, I'm under those, like, I hear the crash, like, what the fuck is going on? I get out there. Alex is already off the boat. It's like, yeah, we're completely on land. I'm like, what? I go down there. Literally none of the boats in the water. I'm like, how did this happen?
Very carefully.
And then it turns out it was the island we just left. Like, what? How's that? It worked out though. At least worked out because this is also funny. At some point, our ship just disappeared, and the treasure we had landed on the island still.
Yep.
And there are these mermaids that teleport you to places, like back to your ship, or just back to your ship.
Yeah.
So Darby and I did that. We left our friend Alex there to guard the treasure. Then Darby and I quickly on the ship, just beeline there. We were able to get our stuff and turn it all in.
It's a lot of fun. I definitely want to do that more.
Yeah.
And we should maybe consider like checking out Grounded again when that comes out for all of us. I mean, I definitely think I like Sea of Thieves more than at least the demo playing of Grounded, but
Yeah. Grounded seems to be very similar to Sea of Thieves in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it's more like survival horror and stuff.
Yeah.
Where this is obviously survival.
Grounded. Grounded's still in early access.
Or not even horror, but survival.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just so used to saying survival horror. But
Grounded's still in early access.
Yeah, I don't think they've added any more to it. I think it's just the demo.
I think that's a good thing
because we reached the end with Holden and then
once that's like fully, I think that'd be a good thing. Like once we get kind of feel like okay, we're kind of fulfilled with Sea of Thieves, jumping over to that.
Yeah, and Holden, Matt, and everyone really liked it. And apparently, Holden, Matt, and Dallas played like a shit ton of Sea of Thieves before. Nice. And they told me, they said that if I ever got into it, to let them know. So like, maybe we can have an experienced person come help us, and we can do a 4-person. Yeah, nice. Fun stuff. Well, Jeffrey, an hour into this podcast, we still have a long way to go.
Let's go.
Some big news. News jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jangle. Darby, it's a lot of Resident Evil shit this week.
There's a lot of Resident
Evil showcase, but there is also some Resident Evil rumor leaked shit, which we'll get into, but we're going to for the showcase stuff first.
Yes. We're here to talk for 2 hours about RE-verse. Not Reverse. Apparently they said RE-verse.
Yes. RE, Resident Evil Universe, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
RE-verse.
Okay. But the main reason to care about that showcase was new footage and shit of Resident Evil Village. Mm-hmm. We got a new trailer. We got a little bit of some gameplay. And we also got that release.
We got a big woman who's going to step on us.
Always. May 7th, this game is coming out just a little later than I think most people kind of predicted.
Yeah. But still reasonable.
Yes.
Very reasonable.
Potentially just like a week after people thought. Because it's the very beginning of May. May 7th, let's go. It was also announced for last-gen consoles. People are calling them current gens. They call them PS5 and stuff next gen consoles. So they are current gen, goddamn.
We are in it. We are in that gen now.
Yes. I pay for current gen stuff.
He paid good money. You better recognize this man's money.
Yes. It's going to be on PS4 and Xbox One. I don't know why they didn't just announce it.
I do. To sell PS5s and Series X's.
I hate that shit.
They wanted that to be part of people's buying decision is to do that. It's scummy.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Fucking hate it. Unfortunately, along with the PS4 announcement, they didn't announce a PSVR compatibility.
Pouring out.
Moment of silence. Yep. Pouring out indeed. But footage for that looked great.
Yes.
Love the vibes. Just kind of, again, they're reiterating. This is first person, Ethan, blah, blah, blah. Showing some, I may have to get this from other people because I haven't played Resident Evil 4 yet. A lot of Resident Evil 4 stuff all over the place.
Lots of
between
callbacks.
Equipment stuff, the Duke. Who, apparently the merchant or the successor to the merchant or something.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the exact thing there or what.
The way they kind of said it in the thing made it sound like he's the merchant, but I don't think it's kind of like he serves a merchant role.
Yeah, apparently the merchant also didn't talk or said 3 words in RE4, but in this one he's
talking all over the place,
chatting all over the place. I love the layout, just when they show shots of that mansion and stuff from the outside. It's I want to explore that. Darby, looks.
You can right now.
I know. I really should.
I wanted to go into this podcast. I kind of wish we I wanted to try to get you to get through that demo before we.
Yeah, I probably should. Maybe before next time. Yeah. I'll get through that. I am very interested, to be honest. I mean, I'm interested in 7 as well. I'm not going to judge RE. I think RE2 and especially the first Resident Evil and even the third one, a bunch of them. just not my jam. Really not my jam. The like corny police whatever headquarters, all that shit. Just really don't give a shit. The weird backwoods horror thing or whatever in Resident Evil 7 is a lot more interesting. The first person, the more like, I don't know, it just seems more horror.
Yeah,
I guess less survival, more horror, and like I just like that a lot better. And like this setting looks like a step above all of them. I love that gothic horror like thing or whatever, and it just the vibe that this is going for, I am digging.
Nice. Yeah, just let me know if you want to borrow that RE7.
Yeah, that is how I'll play it for sure, and maybe try VR. I'll try it. I'll go.
Darby, you got to.
I got
we gotta stream it.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. We should do that soon because with this coming out.
Yeah, well, the good news is just for that if you're interested in. Luckily, I got RE7 you can borrow. Also, I'll just get RE8 physical, so you could just.
Nice. I appreciate that.
Play that.
But as someone who did play RE7 all the way through and enjoyed it,
I am definitely excited for this. Yeah, this definitely seems to be taking a step further into that direction, or a step up in that general direction of the first person kind of general more horror stuff going on. And something that's immediately striking from this is obviously just the environment, but also the enemies.
Yes.
I guess one thing you could criticize RE7 for is kind of lack of enemy variety. Because it has like certain kind of enemies, and they were just that's part just big gel monster things. But this you have the normal kind of zombies that apparently have swords that it looks like you can pick up once you knock it out of their hands. You have a giant, some kind of giant guy who has a big hammer.
Just straight out of Bloodborne.
You have these vampires. We know they're werewolves.
Yes.
You have the giant vampire MILF.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot. And who knows what stuff we have not seen yet.
Right, yes.
So, enemy stuff is just exciting. And, again, just the environment and the setting and all that. And especially after playing the Maiden demo, it's like, okay, just exploring that mansion a little bit. And they said, the way they announced, like, there's no combat in this. It's just a visual demo. I mean, there's some puzzles and stuff to it. So it's a little more than just like, when they said that, it's like, oh, am I just kind of walking around and nothing's going on?
Yeah.
There's a little story here and everything. There's still clues and stuff you can find.
But it's more of a tone piece thing.
Yeah, more of a tone piece thing. And what gets me more excited for RE8 is you walk around this. I know there's no combat and everything, so I know I'm quote unquote safe for the most part. It's like, it's very unsettling. I'm like,
and you can't die, and you could die. So it's like,
and you can't really die until close to the end, until there's an encounter close to the end. But at the same time, like, you're just hearing the people walk around and all this stuff's happening. I mentioned to you, there's this dead woman you find in the dungeon with you. She's like laying up against a barrel or something. When you first see her, you walk away, come back. She's down on the ground with the tool you need in her back. So you pull that out. It's like, okay, thank you. I mean, she could have just fallen down. That's kind of a normal thing. That's whatever. I was like, okay, go do that. Come back. She's like halfway out the dungeon at that point. Moved more. I'm like, and you hear some kind of animal type noises, which I guess thinking now is probably a werewolf. Odds are. It's like fuck. And what's also kind of is cool is pretty much all the environments I saw in the demo you see in the trailer with Ethan walking around in, which is not a surprising thing that you're walking for this stuff, but it's kind of cool now that I played demos. Like, I know all those places already, and kind of get an idea of some general layout
fact
stuff.
that like you're playing as someone called the Maiden, but they're being like very secretive about like who that is. I think it's definitely gonna be like something that happened in the story. It's gonna be
it's obviously they say this is a quote unquote canon thing that happened, but it made it kind of sound like it's not like gonna be a major thing. They're gonna be like some stuff like Easter egg type things pointing towards.
It'll probably just be some victim, and you might like find the Maiden's dead body or something like that. You know, you might
especially since this isn't a PS5 exclusive thing. I'm kind of okay if it's not like a big story thing. especially for how short it is. And that'd be a bummer if all the other consoles didn't.
Or maybe she's one of the bug ladies. Maybe she becomes a bug lady, the person
Maybe
you're playing.
so. Who knows?
Yeah.
But what's also nice about this thing is you just read these lore things with these clues you find. Like there was I guess a butler type thing that was working with them who was obviously human. Like weird things are going on. They said and then at some point the lady said it was cold, so I opened the window shut the curtains and that kind of stuff. Like, I hope I'm not the next one to go down to the dungeon or go down to the basement or whatever. And they had a wine cellar, and it took me halfway through the demo to realize, oh wait, there's no wine in there. There's blood in those barrels.
Yep.
And especially, when I go back and see, oh yeah, there was one barrel with literally a hand sticking out of it.
I think someone at Easy Ally said there was grapes in there that were all dried and rotten. They're not using the grapes. No, ain't no one's using the grapes.
Yeah. So just kind of that kind of Toad stuff's just great lore stuff and make you feel like, oh yeah, this is
and just the animations look so crazy. When she invades him and goes in his hand and it comes out, it's
I'm
crazy
curious how this is going to run on PS4.
Little scared.
Yeah. Because this is generally like RE7, but this has a lot more going on with visuals and stuff and just how, I guess, beautiful the environments and stuff look. Because RE7 is great, but the stuff you're doing is simple because you're a little bit backwards and stuff. For the most part, it's pretty simple. This is definitely a step above with character models and everything. So I'm glad I'm playing this on PS5.
I think it's going to look a lot more flat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'll still run. It's not like the open world game like Cyberpunk, but I still that when RE8 looks even better than I thought it was going to, as far as just how good those environments look and how detailed. So
I'm feeling like this might be a case like RE2 where hopefully the way it's looking, if they nail it, this could be one of the games we're talking about. Okay, this is particularly one of the game of the year contenders. I feel like it can be up there.
Yeah, I think story definitely how they completely wrap up the whole story hinges some of that. I know a lot of people were not super thrilled with the way that 7 ended. I think people would.
There are 2 endings to 7.
Okay.
Since you're gonna play, I won't spoil one.
Yeah, I just know a lot of people said it kind of gets off the rails in a way that's not great. So there's gonna be things like that. But I think visually, this is definitely one of those that's big step.
Yeah.
And just the tone piece. I just love that gothic horror thing a lot more. A lot more than anything else.
I'm excited. Day 1 big. Hopefully I can finish Nier.
Yeah. Don't have much time.
Yep. Also, they announced Resident Evil Reverse.
I elect we just move on for time.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. Then they announced the Division 2 crossover thing where it's just skins. Okay. Next thing, we got some Resident Evil 4 remake new information. The information comes from Andy Robinson from Video Game Chronicles, but just because I feel like it has everything to say in a much better way than I would be able to summarize it as, I'm just going to use Nabel's from Twitter's Too Long Didn't Read.
Yes.
His tweets.
Thank you, Nabel.
But if you want more information, go read Andy Robinson of Video Game Chronicles article. VGC reports that M2's which made Resident Evil 3 Remake's role in development of RE4 Remake has been significantly reduced. Capcom Division 1 has taken over the project. The report mentions that there have been disagreements between Capcom and M2. The former pushes for more changes, while the latter prefers a more one-to-one remake because of the backlash to RE3 Remake. VGC also says that RE4 Remake is being partially rebooted now and slated for 2023. So this is something that's been rumored since last year. I think Video Game Andy Robinson is the one who broke that and made us really start talking about this. Not surprised. Again, they're doing a RE4 remake. They're just continuing that. Still kind of weird considering that one seems to hold up better than the old ones and considered one of the best games of all time by a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they're having these disagreements on how to tackle it makes me worried a little bit about how it'll ultimately shake out, because it's it seems like even they internally know this is a weird thing to remake. It's we're kind of remaking this because Capcom wants that money, and we just saw how much these other two sold, and we know that 4 is an incredibly beloved game, so it's of course we have to do it, but it seems like no one really knows how to do it.
Yeah, Honestly,
it's like playing with fire. It's like we don't know how to touch this. Like 2 and 3 were a little more obvious. Like they're a little more old, and even though people love them or whatever, tank controls, all this other stuff, it was like easier to pinpoint. Like
easier to modernize and like point of thing. We can modernize this.
Right.
RE4 and again, right now, I have not played RE4. I'm planning on playing it pretty soon, hopefully. So I might have more of an opinion about this stuff, or better opinion once I do that. But what I do this now is just the way people talk about it. Probably going the making kind of different out might be for the best. The main reason I say that is RE4 is available on everything. Yeah. If it was a case of you could not get this game, doing a more one-to-one one thing I think would make more sense. Yeah. But since it's available on everything, readily available, from what I've seen, most people say it holds up excellently. Not as much of a point of doing the one-to-one thing. Yeah. Yeah. I could also see a reality where we're all proven wrong and it comes out and it's wonderful. Even being somewhat closer to like a RE2, you know, like being a slightly more one-to-one. But I agree, like, it just inherently seems like it's going to have less of a pop than an RE2 or RE3 just because of the lack. There's less of a need for it. So it's... I mean, even when this originally came out about this potentially being a thing, a lot of people were like, okay, why though? Like, I think it came out before... I can't remember when it came out in relation to RE3's release, which most people were not really happy with. But I feel like regardless of how people felt about RE3, probably didn't change people's opinion on this. Yeah. I feel like the people's opinion on this was just on the fact, like, yeah, why do we need this?
They're different circumstances, the RE2 and 3 versus this. It's just different. And, well, yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because even if it's a one-to-one remake that's, like, really good, there'll probably be a lot of people who be like, okay, it's prettier. Cool, you know, it's like it's not gonna be like oh shit, you know, because like right now it's like if you're gonna refer to someone to RE2, you just say just play the remake, you know, whatever. Where it's like with this other one, it might be like either way, you know, whatever. It's like and that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is like no, you should play the original because X, Y, and Z, you know.
So here's the interesting thing, and again, this is me as someone who has not played it, but just seeing stuff and hearing people talk about RE4, like I'm very curious how they do it. So you think about the Resident Evils we've gotten in the last few years: 7, 2 remake, 3 remake, and currently 8. There's some campiness to it, especially in like 2 and stuff. But it's played mostly straight, you know. From what I've seen, 4 it's where it starts to get really goofy. Like Leon suplexes zombies.
It's really out there.
So it's like, what do you do with that tone? Because it feels maybe a little more jarring right after all these games, especially eventually since it will probably look closer to RE8 as far as like graphic fidelity and stuff.
Wonder if I would really be controversial to people and like also hate RE4 because I just seem like I'm just so much more into the like 7 and 8 vibe, and like every time 2 was corny, I hated it. It was like the bad type of corny for me. So.
Yeah, so I'm very curious, and it's like that's definitely potentially a damn if you do, damn if you don't thing, because it just might be jarring, kind of seeing that in some ways. But if you take it out, people will be furious.
Or just hard to handle. It's hard to do that right. Yeah. You know, not everyone is Final Fantasy VII. They can handle their cheese with with just pristine cheese.
Yep. So yeah. A lot of Resident Evil stuff. They're continuing, but Darby. Crazy thing is, looks like it'll be 2 years before we get another Resident Evil game.
That's hard to believe now. We're at such a clip. The RE fan base will never recover from this.
I mean, we got a year break between RE7 and RE2 remake.
I know, just 1 year. That's all that people are used to is 1 year. What are they gonna do? They'll have Elden Ring at some point, and everyone will be fine.
Yeah. Darby, I hear you like Lucasfilms.
I mean, yes and no. but yes.
I hear you like Lucasfilms.
I'm sorry, yes, Jeff. Of
course. Good. Okay, good. Glad we have an expert on all things Lucasfilms here.
Sorry, that is.
And I'm sure you were dancing naked in the streets when you heard Lucasfilm Games was coming.
I mean, to be fair, I was already dancing naked in the street when I got the news.
Happened to be at the same time.
Yeah, they happened to catch me right at that hour. You know
what? That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But Lucasfilms, I guess about 2-ish weeks ago or whatever, because this is one of those stories where we're doing it a week late, announced they are back, and like, we're going to quickly have new announcements. Hear from us soon. Like, okay, they might say something this year. It's like, they're like, no, fuck you. We're announcing 2 big things right away. First thing, I can't remember if this was the first thing. I'm just going with it as the first thing. They announced Bethesda's Machine Games is developing an Indiana Jones game with Todd Howard as executive producer.
With Todd?
With Todd!
Yes, Todd? They got Todd?
And don't worry, guys. This is not going to affect Starfield or Elder Scrolls.
But is it going to infect Fallout 76 DLC, Jeff? And patches?
Its sales will affect that.
This is cool. Yeah. This is very cool. This is very, 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 very
cool. Yeah, we
were
immediately like with this, like, oh yeah, just continuing the renaissance of the potential renaissance of these licensed
games. Yeah. Being actual good, we're making up for
because we got the IO one. It's like, especially after seeing some of that Dubai level, me play more is like, I was gonna nail it.
At least they're actually giving budgets,
and a good
talented
team.
teams to these
and
things.
People who don't know Machine Games, Wolfenstein team, could be good. They're really good. Like Wolfenstein, not the biggest seller, unfortunately, but people love their games.
Yes.
But I'm very curious about, this is kind of like IO in a way. Well, even more so, where it's like, okay, you can kind of see the connection of why you would pick them, but it's not like a one-to-one thing necessarily. Like what you would completely think of when you think of an Indiana Jones game.
But in some ways, I think that could be cool. It could be cool because I think you might have like a different type of take on Indiana Jones. But at the same time, like, you think of Wolfenstein immediately as like crazy arcadey, like shooting zombies, not zombies, shooting Nazis.
Fuck Nazis.
Same thing, whatever. Fuck them. Killing Nazis, doing all this other things. But like, almost every single person's take from Wolfenstein 2 is like, wow, that story was way better than it had any right to be. They're like, wow, I actually really cared about BJ as a protagonist and all these other things. So like,
I care about a guy named BJ Blazkowicz.
Exactly. It's like, there's people who's like, I almost came to tears over this like beefy like muscle dude. So I think that they could handle this for sure. It's going to be a very different time.
I say that. Obviously, this is the really recent example. This kind of is like, as far as people going to different game styles, like Guerrilla from Killzone to Horizon. Obviously, it has been done numerous times, and just like Naughty Dog and all that kind of stuff. It can be done. Just kind of, I'm curious to see what their take is, because I feel like it's got to be for third person.
I would be really surprised.
Like you think about this, it's probably going to be Uncharted-esque.
And
at least take some inspiration from it.
And I think they should be. I think don't overthink it too much. I mean, I don't think it, I have your own things about it for sure. And
they're like, just kind of, you're saying not think about it too much. Look at Uncharted and take some inspiration for it and do your own spin on it. When you do it, kind of like we're saying with IO, with the 007 stuff. Don't think about it too hard. You guys already kind of make a really good like 007-esque game. Right. Take that. Don't think about it too hard.
Play into your strengths. Do that. And like, the whole that whole like cinematic game style thing for Uncharted. I mean, that is Indiana Jones. I mean, Uncharted is like is drawing so much for Indiana Jones. So I think it's perfectly fine to draw that back and everything. But obviously, put your own spin on it. It'll be exciting to see like a new. I'm expecting this to be like just a completely new reboot, not be tied into any Indiana Jones.
It'd be very interesting to hear Indy not being voiced by Harrison Ford. Because like, he's not voicing him, right?
There's no way. I would be really, really surprised. I mean, to be fair, I didn't expect him to reprise his role with Blade Runner and everything and shit like that. But
he's coming back for another indie movie.
Like, he comes back for things that you don't expect him to. That being said, I really still don't think it, because I also think that they're going to want to set up multiple games of this, and
true. They don't want to do this and Harrison be like, nah, I don't want to do this.
Right. There's no
might
way
as well rip the band-aid of someone else voicing him.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to be clear. I'm not really that big of an Indiana Jones fan, to be honest. Like I've watched some of the movies. I'm like, they're fun. They're okay. Yeah, I'm not like that big.
I've watched Crystal Skulls. It was bad.
Is that the only one you've watched?
I mean, I've seen some like I probably have seen kind of like Star Wars. Just if you piece it all together like a full movie, like on USA or something.
I'm mostly the same. I've seen Raiders all the way through, and then the other ones I've probably seen bits and pieces.
Or at the very least, I probably saw like maybe a full one. I think my dad liked those more than Star Wars, like way back when, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, I mean they're fun.
Yeah. I mean, like legitimately, kind of like with 007, depending how it's done. I could see myself getting into this, like depending how the game's done. Just it could, even if I don't have nostalgia for it.
I could get in this more. Yeah, and that's the thing. You definitely, with a lot of games like Witcher is another example. It's like, no, if this is just a good game with a good story, it's like obviously there's going to be references in there that are really cool for people who love Indiana Jones. But like, I think this will hopefully be something that anyone can get into. I guess I think the only other like big thing I think we have to at least touch on. What are the chances that this is like an Xbox exclusive game? Just because
I say 0.
Yeah, I don't say 0, but I'd say probably not.
Yeah, I guess it's fair. I would legitimately be surprised if this was Xbox exclusive. Not to say like I could see it still be on Game Pass, but to be exclusive, especially since
I mean it'll be an Xbox published game. It has to be on Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's the whole thing with Game Pass, right? Yeah.
It's just a weird thing because
I mean, this ain't coming out before that.
Oh no! I know.
That's what you mean.
The only reason I'm hesitating is because this is a licensed thing, technically made before Microsoft owns them.
But it's an Xbox Game Studios game.
Yeah.
That will be coming out like 3 years from now.
I know. The only reason I'm just not going full on because it is a licensed thing.
Yeah.
A Disney licensed thing. Yeah, it could. So things could be a little more.
Yeah, it could be
a little more tricky.
Yeah, it could be. But
if it's on Game Pass, I'm not going to be surprised. Yeah, I will be surprised if it's Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, I would be a little surprised too. No,
that's where I stand. But speaking of things being exclusive, Star Wars is not exclusive to EA anymore. Because it was announced that Ubisoft's massive entertainment studio or whatever, which does the Division 2 and shit, is making a Star Wars open world game. Which that does nothing for me.
It's more just that it opens the doors. Other people can make.
Yeah, before we get into that, because that'll be the bulk of the conversation, do you have any thoughts on Massive in particular doing a Star Wars game?
I mean, I think it could be cool. I mean, I'm not normally really into Ubisoft's open world formula. I mean, it's not that I never have been. I loved Far Cry 4. I loved Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4. It was just kind of got beaten to death just after a while, and I've also beaten to death my points on open world games. On a lot of open world games here, but I do think Star Wars being a world, for all my criticism of Star Wars, the world is just addicting, and it's there's something magical about it. And I think even a basic open world Star Wars game could be special. And I think they'll be putting a lot of effort into this. I could see it being something I get into. It's not something I'm going to poo-poo immediately. I mean, I think that even an Assassin's Creed Star Wars game could be very fun. Going around the galaxy.
I hear the vision and then I get scared.
I mean, it's not going to be I think it's going to. I think it'll probably be closer to Assassin's Creed than a Division, just because of the style. I think it's going to be open world in that way. And I mean, Division's not a bad game. I think Division's just not our type of game.
I know. It's the complete opposite of my type of game.
But it's not going to be a shooter multiplayer thing. I don't think. I would be very surprised if it was. I think this is going to be...
I'm partly being hyperbolic for content.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a single-player open-world RPG. Probably a pretty basic one in a lot of ways. But it's going to have Star Wars on it, so people are going to love it. People are probably going to overrate it because it has Star Wars in it. But I might enjoy it as well. Yeah.
Well, going to the whole... this pretty much confirmed without them saying it that EA is losing the exclusive license in 2022. I think it's when the contract ends.
And it needs to happen. It's
I'm glad they're able to throw this out there.
ahead of time.
Yeah, it's, because this game isn't coming out until after that contract expires. But I guess the important thing to also point out for indie, as well as I think we can agree on, these games are very early in development, haven't really been started. The ink just dried potentially when they announced stuff, but they wanted to get the stuff out there, just like with IO and 007.
Yeah, the Ubisoft game legally can't come out for another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So there's that as far as both these games. Yeah. But yeah, that just means we can start getting more Star Wars announcements potentially for other stuff the moment that deal is made. And it's just great to hear that, they're going. That's just the way Disney's going. Like with Marvel, where they're just throwing out their stuff to different developers. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, well, that whole having a franchise locked to a single developer is just such a relic of a bygone era. Yeah. And it was I understand why EA did it at the time. I mean, it's a pretty big thing to have the exclusive lock on Star Wars, but in a way, I almost feel like this is better for EA as well.
I legitimately think this. Both whoever's in charge on the Disney side, whatever, Lucas, whatever, for the Star Wars license, and EA, whoever's in charge now, both regret that decision or don't like it. Because from the Lucas side, it's man, we're stuck with these one people, and it's been very hit and miss as far as reception. And from EA side, it's we got this license for so many years, we need to use it. So they're kind of we got to shoehorn Star Wars and stuff. We got to just make games.
It had this pressure that we have to make so much money to make our back on this crazy contract, and just every single time that they had a screw up with Star Wars, there was just that much more heat on them, because it's y'all are holding this franchise hostage. So every time something went wrong, it's well, we could be getting something from somewhere else, but we can't because
it's kind of I think that added to anger for with Battlefront and stuff. It's this is just another couple years it'll take to potentially get a good Star Wars game, and it's going to be from you. But I will say this was kind of a good news thing, is I think EA's kind of talked about, might have said this, is while the license, I think they pretty much confirmed the license ending kind of officially from them, but pretty much this isn't the end of us working on Star Wars content, which I think pretty much is pretty much, hey, Fallen Order 2 is happening, that series is at the very least continuing, potentially other stuff. Yeah. We're just not the only ones making it, and we can kind of be choosy with it.
I think that's fine. I mean, some of it has been hyperbolic. EA has made good Star Wars games and everything. It's not I want I think EA should be revoked from making any Star Wars games ever. It's just that, just like with Marvel, I think spread your wings, let things happen, let a weird Switch game happen, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, have kind of a smaller cartoonier looking Star Wars game come out as Switch. Do all kind of different things.
So Star Wars games have been pretty hit or miss for people, but at least now when there's a miss from them, there can be a hit 2 months later from someone else.
Right. It's just it just opens the.
No, Darby, I got to ask you this. We don't have to do this long because I know this is already a long podcast. Just real quick. Who do you want to make a Star Wars game, and how exactly do you want it done, just generally speaking?
I haven't thought about this at all.
Sorry, Darby, this is the obvious question I got to ask in this situation.
So either my first thought was Insomniac, the Ratchet and Clank team. I don't even know. I was just thinking about Crazy Arsenal, crazy.
I got it. Jar Jar Baby Yoda game. I knew you would go there.
I got it. I did it. I don't know. I mean, something also about, not necessarily that I would specifically want. I'm just thinking about Star Wars-esque things, and I started thinking about the robots and stuff in Horizon, thinking about just the way that fighting those was super fun. I was just thinking about Star Wars AT-ATs and things like that.
Obviously Star Wars Arc System Works fighting game.
Be a little weird.
It'd be a little weird. Clone Wars art style.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog.
Yeah, obviously,
or a studio that.
A super cinematic thing like that. Honestly, even a Divinity / Baldur's Gate style CRPG top down thing, even something like that could be really cool if you were commanding rebel soldiers or anything like that around different planets. I mean, that's the thing is, you could take it in so many different directions. You could you could do a lot of different things with it. Cool.
So Just randomly thinking about it, I'm staying with a Sony studio just based on me playing their old game, but just hearing what people talk about with their new game, Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
Just with the sword play they learned from that and the superpowers from Infamous. Then combining that, with the lightsaber combat and force powers.
They could definitely do some cool force
in
things.
like an open world-ish type thing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Maybe like God of War type combat with that. I mean, it's like kind of basically what I wish Jedi Fallen Order was, just a little, like, I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. Sonic popped in my head because like we heard about that Amy Hennig game like so long ago that got canceled. It's like that's probably about what it would have like we were thinking it would be. And
like the beginning of Jedi Fallen Order feels like Uncharted Star Wars game, and then it starts trying to go into being a FromSoft game, and I just think it's a weak FromSoft game. It tries to do that. It just does it in a very weak way, and it also like inhibits the story from really getting off. It's like they try to have both sides. They try to tell like a super narrative driven Naughty Dog game, but also a like tackle this like almost Metroidvania / FromSoft thing, and those two things just clash so much to where like they couldn't do either super well. So like I would love just like don't even give me the illusion of openness, just put me on rails, Uncharted, insanely good narrative, crazy ass set pieces. Like just I'm fine with that. Give me that. Yep. So card game and dating sim, right?
Yes, obviously. From the KFC dating sim team.
MOBA. Star Wars Unite.
Don't give them ideas, Darby. People will hate it.
Oh yeah, I'd probably play it.
Yeah, I know. That's not gonna be bad. I'm just saying the people we thought would hate it.
Yeah.
So Microsoft had a day yesterday.
Yeah,
it's a roller coaster of emotions.
There's really no good side of it, is there? Was there any hidden good side of it?
Something positive did come out of it.
Okay.
So I'll just read the description here, and then we can just go into it. Microsoft decided to double the price of Xbox Live to $120 a year, and different varying things for the other month things. Then people got mad, and then they decided to reverse it. Oh, and free-to-play games are actually free-to-play now on Xbox.
Oh, so they did reverse it. So it's back to 60 now?
Yes. They say now, we're not changing the price now. It came out like... It was about midnight last night, so that's why I didn't bug you about it.
Interesting.
So you might have been going to bed. But they're like... The Xbox thing was literally like... Phil Spencer was like, yeah, we messed up. We're changing this. Oh, by the way... we're now making free-to-play games not require Xbox Live.
The whole thing's weird.
Yeah, so
it's weird. I don't know what.
I came in here like yesterday when I was making this podcast, putting it together like right before this thing was the reverse was announced. Completely coming here to rip on Microsoft. I mean, we're still going to do that somewhat because they still made the decision originally. But then they reversed like. Yeah, what were they thinking? There's some people like, oh, they just said this to test the water to see how people would feel. No. Like if they had the intention to potentially switch back, they knew how that. Like they thought about people being angry, and if they did that, they know people would have been angry. They probably knew people were going to be angry anyway. Yeah. They did expect the level of angriness because doubling it from 60 to 120, which is double your competitor, is insane.
It just seems dumb from the get-go. Yeah. You're already kind of the underdog here, and like to hand on a silver platter to Sony to be like, hey, you only have to pay $60 to play online over here.
I think they bumped up to $70 recently, but it's still about double so.
You have to pay over $100 to play online games over there.
$100 to play Fortnite.
Which that is a lot. I mean, I'm saying that in the like, look at that I mean, that is absurd. That's a lot. That's way too much money to be able to play online games.
Last night, the reason they everyone agrees. This is the reason they did it, is to make Game Pass Ultimate more enticing, because then Game Pass Ultimate for the year is only like $30 more.
That's just scummy. It's
just scummy 100%. Yeah. And obviously, no one was gonna go along with that.
Yeah, imagine if you're someone who just very casually, you just play Call of Duty or whatever, and that's all you want to play, and it's like, very good. It's like you have to pay another $120 just to unlock the game that you already paid $60 for. And that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Like, so if you go to buy Call of Duty and it's like, oh, you also have to pay online or whatever, that means you're spending like how much? You're spending almost $200.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, again, Fortnite might have been an exception. Just for the sake of argument, I'm going to count Fortnite as being a thing because the general thing applies. Free-to-play games had to be paid. You had to have online to play free-to-play games, at least for the most part. With this new price thing, you had to pay, I think, like $11 a month to play Fortnite. This free-to-play game pretty much was a subscription service to Xbox players, which was dumb anyway, but then you doubled the price, and that's just absurd.
Puzzling. Very puzzling.
Yeah.
And them retracting it, it's still like, yeah, what exactly were you thinking here?
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? I don't know. It's weird. Odd.
Yeah.
Especially when Sony's not doing this, you know.
The good thing that came out of this is the fact, you know, I mean, they reversed it and then just went ahead and took the free-to-play.
So it probably means that Sony is not going to do this, especially after watching Xbox flail around for a minute. And it's like, weird.
Yeah, and I feel like this is literally just an Xbox Game Pass like power move. Like, oh, Siege is how, you know, it's barely that much money. You should go and get that. It's like, because not like Xbox needs money. I mean, it's Microsoft.
Someone was just only looking at the money of this and did not really think it through as far as how it.
Microsoft, look at Netflix. They're just steadily making it more expensive.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
You don't double it in one go.
You know, if you crank the pot up, the frog's gonna jump out. You gotta slowly cook. You gotta slowly cook it until
it explodes.
Until the frog's dead. Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, next thing. Talking about yesterday was a big news day. Dropped a couple bombs. Not gonna read all this, just general thing. Vicarious Visions is being absorbed into Blizzard. And that is the main thing. And they are pretty much working on, or they have been working on a Diablo 2 remake, and they pretty much are gonna kind of be continuing doing that as part of a Blizzard team going into from now on. So
only working on Blizzard properties.
Overall, I say this is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I know, like you and Alex were talking about this earlier about people making video, and I agree with you.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just kind of a weird thing. I understand why people are kind of upset from an optics standpoint because, like, Vicarious Visions, two things recently were the Crash Insane trilogy and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, which reviewed greatly, sold great, like just from a fan feedback standpoint. That was two of their Activision's two biggest wins as far as them not looking like a scummy company at all times. Yeah. Just like, hey, these are games you guys just want. And again, they reviewed great and sold great. And it's kind of like, okay, the studio, we're just pushing you into this other studio.
Yeah, it feels weird because it feels like something you would do to a studio who's performing poorly. Yeah. Something they'd be like, because it does feel like a demotion in some ways, even though like maybe they're getting more resources than ever now, but whatever. But it's probably more so that Activision is a giant company and like they're always like everything is a spreadsheet, and like even though it seems really successful to us, it's like they just move things around constantly. Just like Disney, we were talking about earlier. It's like, oh, Disney's getting into games, oh great, or whatever. It's like, do you realize how many times Disney has been in and out of games? It's been like fucking 7 times, and they're like, here's our game thing, and it's gone. Here's Disney Infinity, and it's gone. Here's Lucas, and it's gone. It's like, because like that's what these big companies do, and I think that's what's happening here as well. Even though like we know they're very successful for their lane, for what they're doing, in the grand Activision always shuffling around like business like venture. This is what happens, and I do think it's a bummer that it kind of just like limits what they could do. I mean, granted, what they've been doing is just like remakes of titles that Activision owns. Yeah. So, you know, it was already slightly limited, but you would have hoped that it's like, oh, they proved themselves with Spyro and this, so we're going to give them a brand new game, even if it's in their existing, you know, something we're going to let them like evolve up past the remakes and everything, which might happen with Blizzard, but it's just
it's kind of like with Toys for Bob, where it's kind of like they did the Spyro thing, and then they got the new Crash game.
Yeah. So that I think that is a bummer. I do think, and I will touch on like kind of, I also agree with Alex in a way that I think people were being a little hyperbolic about this, like oh, they're just gonna be making Overwatch 2 skins and stuff now. It's like, no, this is a very talented studio that is still the studio, and they're making a remake of a very, 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 like, this is another big remake, arguably bigger than, like, at least Spyro. I mean, remaking Diablo 2.
Well, I mean, they didn't make Spyro. This team didn't make Spyro. They made Crash in.
Okay, or even Crash. I mean, like...
I just say because Crash is bigger than Spyro.
Yeah. But it's not like, this is on par. This is like,
no.
Like, in a vacuum, them working on a Diablo thing could be a next step. Like, that is not like a demotion there or whatever. So, like, yeah, even though it is a bummer they're being, like, held down to this, to act like, oh, well, Vicarious Visions is dead. It's like, no, I mean, Blizzard itself has a lot of big names. Even if they're not big names to you and to the specific people we follow or whatever, if they make, like, spin-off Warcraft games and shit like that, that's a big fucking deal, you know? Yeah. I could see an original Warcraft remake from them, and that would be huge. Yeah. Our Twitter would act like it's not big, but it would be fucking big. You know, it's like, come on.
I feel like with this news, it's, you know, less about, like, you know, Activision may not be looking at Vicarious Vision like, yeah, you guys underperformed, and it's more like things might not be going great at Blizzard as well as they wanted to, because that is a bigger moneymaker. And they look at Vicarious Visions like, hey, you guys have been successful. We're going to add you to the what will make more money by default team, and so you can make more money.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
So, and something I saw someone point out is just kind of interesting. Like, you know, people on Twitter are upset about this, but it's kind of like, yeah, are Vicarious Visions people happy or unhappy?
They might be stoked.
They might be stoked. I mean, might be making more money for all we know, which, you know, is obviously
very well might be. Yeah, and they might get to go work on very big things. There's definitely, like, some of our, like, kind of the Twitter realm, the Twitter gaming realms that we're a part of are very, very, very guilty of when someone moves to work on something they don't care about, they act like it's, oh, well, they're irrelevant now, or this is like whatever. It's like, or, you know, League of Legends, dumb thing no one cares about. It's like, it's bigger than anything you give a shit about.
Yeah,
like,
Pokemon Unite. Right. Like, people was like, what is this? It's going to be a dead game. And then the timing was perfect because you guys getting into League of Legends and me just vicariously learning more about League of Legends, be around you guys. Like, no, this is instantly going to be a big deal. And we can look at it and, like, yeah, this probably going to have the quality to be the big deal.
Yeah, this thing that you're acting like no one cares about, newsflash, it's going to sell more than any of your favorite games combined. Okay, it's like, and like, yeah, to act like, oh, they're making Diablo now, who cares or whatever, that's fucking huge. Yeah. That's a big ass deal.
And from Jason's right, they're already working on the Diablo 2 remake. They're just, again, doing it more in an official Blizzard capacity. Though I guess I'll also throw this in to back up what I was saying about maybe Blizzard's in trouble. Team 1, Blizzard's quote-unquote classic team, was quietly dismantled last fall. And for people who don't know, Blizzard's Team 1 was responsible for StarCraft 2, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft Remastered, and Warcraft 3 Reforged. Yeah. So a team got dissolved. They looked at this talented team and, like, yo, we're going to put you with the bigger money makers.
Like, make up for, Which is another way, again, they might be making more money now. Like, really, I would not be that surprised. So I do think it's overall bummer news, but maybe not quite as hyperbolic as, people made it out to be.
But Dark, was not a bummer. Bowser's Fury, man.
Oh, he's so mad.
He's so mad. Yeah, this is another old thing that happened last week.
Bowser is the god of death now.
Yep. We finally learned what Bowser's Fury was, and it is magnificent. Man, that thing's coming on like 2-3 weeks.
Oh, it was that? It was on the podcast that I was talking about. Yeah, it was on the 2017 top 10 thing where I was saying something I loved about Odyssey is that Nintendo, because you're so familiar with Mario and his aesthetic, that like they're playing with that familiarity by like contrasting, by adding things in there that look like so like they don't fit in such a crazy way that it just like pops and like gets a reaction out of you. I think this is another step in that where it's like this is yet again we are throwing a fucking Bloodborne Dark Souls boss at you in this like crazy ass Bowser.
So I think kind of prediction, if Smash continues and it has Final Smashes, Giga Bowser will be replaced by Fury Bowser.
They should
it should.
They should at least, like they do with Cloud with the new Omni Slash, they should at least like make that a variant or something.
I say replace him just straight out because Giga Bowser is a Smash creation. This is a actual Nintendo thing, and it just looks more badass.
But the actual game.
Yes. So this is looks to be a completely separate mode from 3D World, which I'm actually happy with, so I don't have to like go through 3D World again because I'm planning on playing with you and or other people. So I'm happy like I don't have to wait for that. No offense. For us to go through it. Well, also the fact, this is completely different from 3D World, which is really awesome. I love 3D World, but just seeing them do something completely new and bonkers is great.
Yes, it seems like a direct half and half between 3D World and Mario Odyssey.
Yes. Yeah. In some ways, yes. There are some people that when they see people compared to Odyssey, like, oh, I guess someone didn't play Odyssey. Shut up.
What?
Yeah. People take the Odyssey comparison and go a different way. The reason why I agree 100% with you, is obviously it uses the 3D World components of power-ups, like the exact same ones with the cat suit, Boomerang, Mario, and that kind of stuff to do the platforming and stuff, which is great. But it uses the Odyssey more... Like, compared to all the other 3D Marios, more of an Odyssey world design where it's just this big open thing where you're doing a whole bunch of shit. And instead of capturing enemies to do the whatever puzzle or platforming thing that you're around there, you're doing the power-ups to do.
Yeah. And instead of it being like a mission-based thing, there are many there's many things you're going to be doing.
You have a main objective, but you have this kind of the sandbox type thing and go and it looking like, and what they're making it sound like, any direction. Like you can do this in any order. You just go around. Yeah, which is cool. And it seems like there's like maybe kind of a like ticking clock, like a ticking clock waiting for Bowser. Yeah, they pretty much said like at some point Bowser's going to wake up and go on a rampage, and if you haven't gotten all the shines or whatever to light up the big Mega Bell, he's just going to attack, and you can't really do anything about it but kind of run and hide. And what's also cool, I'm curious how exactly it works, is when he's doing on, like spikes and stuff fall from the sky, so there's different like ways, different areas that unlock or different platforming stuff you do to maybe go to new areas. So you might need Bowser to wake up to actually move on to certain areas. So I'm curious how that kind of works. And then at some point, Bowser goes back to sleep.
Yeah, so it's like Breath of the Wild, Blood Moon type thing. Yeah, this is really cool. That's
really completely different. A whole completely different thing. And another thing that makes it completely different from base 3D World is it's not 4 players. It's only 2-player, and the second player plays as Bowser Jr. I don't know what extent you control him as. We see him doing some attacks, but it looks like he might probably primarily follow Mario. I don't know if it's just like a thing where, he just kind of follows Mario by default, and then the second player just like points and clicks for him to do stuff.
So that might really be little brother mode in the like almost to the extent of like Mario Galaxy, where it's like you're barely doing shit. Yeah. But it seems like this is made for single player, probably
primarily, and they just had a reason to put Bowser Jr. in and just do the second player thing, which I think Bowser Jr. in here just as a partner is cool.
No, that's dope. I love Bowser.
I kind of like how they're doing. It seems like in Mario games recently, where it's like Bowser's in trouble and Bowser Jr. goes to Mario. It's like, hey, I know you and my daddy had problems, but can you come save him, please? You're the most competent person I know. And it's kind of cute and adorable. Bowser Jr. has been fun. Like Paper Mario's the same way. It was great. But yeah, I'm really liking the way the Bowser Fury's looking. And just the stuff for 3D World in general. There's some tweaks and stuff they're doing to the gameplay, which I think will add to it.
Nice.
Like the characters move faster, which I think is a net positive. There were times they move slow, or you gotta kind of go a little bit before they start like sprinting, and that could have been annoying because sometimes you need to sprint to do some certain things. So that being quicker is good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this kind of gives this game the life that it never really got.
Yeah, I mean, it sold 5 million copies, which isn't nothing.
Okay, well, it's pretty good for a 13 million 13 million units. Yeah,
but I mean, I don't think I'm wrong here saying it's going to be a 10 million seller.
Yeah. I mean, you should never underestimate. Never underestimate Mario.
I mean, because like a lot of Wii U stuff, to a lot of people, this is a new Mario game.
Yeah, and I do think Bowser Fury is definitely going to help.
Yeah, sure. I mean, besides Pokken, this is going to be the first, the only other Wii U port I'm getting, just because it's actually adding something significant to it that I want to play.
It feels in a way like the closest thing to that Mario Odyssey DLC we never got.
So I mean, this is definitely one I'm planning on because I think there's a chance that you'll want to play it on your own. Bowser's Fury, anyway. Yeah. I'll get a physical, so then afterwards, regardless of where we are in 3D World, I'll be able to, once I'm done, hand it to you I guess what you're doing, just go for Bowser's Fury.
How long do you expect this to be?
3 to 5 hours.
It sounds about right to me. It sounds like range I was thinking. And I think that I would be satisfied with that.
Yeah, it might be one thing if it's it was just Bowser's Fury, it was $60, but the fact, playing 3D, I mean, I'd want to play through 3D World again anyway. That'd make it, worth it on its between those two on its own, but playing it for a second time with you and or other people will make it more than worth the money to me.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if it was 1 hour or something, I think that would be a little underwhelming. But I think anywhere from the 3 hour range to 4 hour range or whatever, I think.
So I'm very curious. So what's your stance on this? Do you think this is kind of potentially testing the waters for mechanics or layouts for a future 3D Mario game?
I certainly think there's probably an element of that in some way, even if it's not direct parallels or whatever. I think there's no way that this was always the plan for 3D World and 3D World alone with no other game outside of it input or whatever. I have a hard time believing that because it's so different. The kind of
experiment I said, this is so different for 3D World because it's taking the Odyssey exploration, but just the power of nature are more like 3D World or 2D Marios in this. Obviously we got that in 3D World with the power-ups and stuff, and we got the power-ups in other 3D Marios, but they're more course-based, or with Galaxy and 64 and stuff. Those power-ups were for certain objectives where you just click on that objective and then insert it into the level, and the levels kind of changes slightly based on that objective.
Right.
Where this is again an open thing like Odyssey, but just all these power-ups everywhere.
Right. I think there's some element of this being part of a Mario Odyssey DLC that was scrapped, or some precursor to something like that's happening. Because even correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Bowser's Fury, him in general and the design and everything, looks way more at home in an Odyssey than 3D World.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised because you would think if there was a 3D World expansion or DLC thing, it would still be Cat Bowser or something
I was not expecting that. I was expecting there's going to be kind of a badass Bowser or whatever, but it's still going to be in the 3D World style. As soon as that happened, I was no, this looks like the dragon from Odyssey. I mean, this looks like a crazy out there.
In a lot of ways, you can kind of see maybe where this would easily be an Odyssey DLC. And my hope is maybe quote, maybe a prediction. Hopefully that's right. This was originally a plan for Odyssey DLC, but again, they got so many ideas. They just did an Odyssey 2, and then they're looking at it okay, we haven't ported 3D World yet. We can make this work for 3D World, but this Bowser Fury idea won't work for what we planned for Odyssey. So let's just use it here.
I could see them having the mechanic of having a big central scary Bowser that operates on a timer like that, and that feels like that could have been a Odyssey DLC, and then they just all right, add cat add cat ears everywhere.
Because literally everything has cat ears in this game. The flowers, the clouds, the trees.
Chad's right. Too many cats.
Too many cats. That's great. So yeah, I mean, if we got this and just an Odyssey 2 announcement this year, or I guess another 3D Mario in general. I want Odyssey 2, but I'll take anything. I'll take any 3D Mario. Then this year. Great.
And if we get Breath of the Wild 2, baby.
Yep. Okay. We got some other news just real quick before we sign off.
That we do.
Okay. I actually remembered another thing I wanted to put in here. Again, it'll just be a real quick thing. Last week, we also got a new Pokemon Snap trailer coming April 30th. I'm excited. It, again, just like Pokemon Snap. Just some more stuff going on and all that. I'm excited. Look forward to hearing.
Now, will you beat Pokemon Snap before freaking Resident Evil?
I definitely can, probably, unless this game is a lot longer than it probably should be. Can. The Uncharted movie was delayed again from like July to sometime next year. It's never coming out. It's real, but it's never coming out.
It's coming out, Jeff. It's going to come out.
I just gotta do the memes.
I know the memes
for the content,
but it has been delayed like 7 times.
I know, it's kind of hilarious at this point. Hopefully, it's good at the end of this.
It might be. It might be.
I mean, we've talked about it. Uncharted like fits as far as the potential good movie than most video game things.
Mark Wahlberg's a little weird, but they could.
Yeah.
I mean, but this delay is the one that's like every movie's being delayed right now because of COVID. I mean, all the other delays, yes, like laughed them into the ground, but like this one's like okay, you know, yeah.
And we got some Among Us Switch data as far as how much it's sold.
Oh.
3.2 million just on Switch.
God damn. Not that surprising, but still, that's a lot. Dude.
So that's like $15 million. Okay, like probably close to $10 million into the dev's pocket just for the Switch. Because like apparently the Switch stuff is like 30%, and 5 times 3.2 is like 15.
Math.
Yeah, so Inner Sloth for 4-man teams making bank.
Oh yeah, those are rich motherfuckers.
Yeah, they are. Like I was honestly curious about how well Among Us like sell on Switch, since it was kind of redundant in a way. Yeah, as far as potentially being on there, but apparently that's fine.
There's a lot of people. It's like it's $5. I'll just just get it. Yeah.
I saw someone mention. I don't know if this is true. Like potentially this puts it like in the top 20, just top 20 games just sold on Switch in general.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking impressive.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
that's a podcast.
Thank you. That was a very good one. Yep. Thank you for tuning in to episode 176 of Nerds Large Gaming Podcast. Make sure you have watched or listened to last week's episode, top 10 games of 2020. FYI, we do have some spoilers in there, mostly for Last of Us Part 2 and a little for Final Fantasy 7, and for the most part, that was pretty much it. We will also, in the very near future, be doing a top 10, or not top 10, are just best of non-video game things for 2020. So look forward to that as well.
Well, look forward to next week. Well, I should have more Hitman 3 things, hopefully those extra levels, and maybe some impressions of The Medium.
Oh, more spooks.
More spooks.
I really hope that game's good.
I hope so too.
I hope that's
good. Yeah, if the reviews come out and it's bad, I probably won't touch it because I only have so much time.
Yeah, and that's $60.
Well, it's on Game Pass. Baby.
Oh, Game Pass. I
probably would be picking this up right away.
But time is money as well. So yeah.
But if reviews are good, expect something at some point.
Nice. All right. Peace.
Bye.